Talk to yourself like this for 21 days, my friends. If you want to change your life, you've got to change the way you talk to you. We live in a world that's loud, loud with opinions, loud with judgment, loud with comparison, and sometimes, let's be honest, the loudest voice tearing us down is our own. But what if, for the next 21 days, you chose a different voice? What if every morning, before the world even had a chance to speak, you were the first one to rise and say to yourself, I am worthy, I am enough, I am becoming who I was always meant to be. You see, the words you whisper to your soul in the quiet moments, they matter more than the noise outside. Because if you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, strong enough, those words become chains. But if you start telling yourself, I am powerful, I am resilient, I've been through too much to quit now, then those words become wings. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. No, this is about speaking truth to yourself before fear gets a chance to lie to you. For 21 days, I want you to wake up and choose a new narrative, one filled with grace, one filled with fire, one that reminds you that you are not your mistakes, your past, your weight, your bank account, or your doubts. You are a living, breathing miracle, and if you keep talking to yourself like someone you love every day for 21 days, something incredible will happen. Your energy will shift, your confidence will rise. Your light will grow so bright that others will feel it just by standing near you. So say it with me now. I am here for a reason. I am not behind, I am right on time, and I don't shrink for anyone. I rise. Talk to yourself like this for 21 days, and watch your whole life begin to listen. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. And we don't always realize how much power we're handing over day after day. By the way we speak to that person in the mirror. We wake up, glance at our reflection, and before our feet even hit the floor, our minds begin whispering things. Sometimes those whispers are gentle and kind, you've got this. But more often, they're sharp, cutting, and cruel. You're behind, you're failing, you're not enough. And we don't question it, we just absorb it. We drink it like it's truth. But here's the truth. The words you say to yourself matter. They matter more than anyone else's voice in your life, more than your parents, more than your friends, more than the critics on the internet or the boss who never noticed your effort. Because those voices may come and go, but yours is constant. And that voice becomes the background music to your life. It either builds you up or it breaks you down. One thought at a time. We think it's just talk, just self-commentary, just what we've always done, but words are not just words. Words are builders, words are sculptors. They are the architects of belief. If you say something enough times, your mind doesn't question it. Your heart doesn't argue, it accepts it. It becomes who you think you are. So when you tell yourself every day, I'm so stupid, I always mess things up, I'll never change, your mind listens, and not only does it listen, it starts looking for ways to prove you right. That's the scary part. The brain is loyal, almost too loyal. If you feed it doubt, it will search for failure. If you feed it shame, it will keep replaying every mistake you've made. But here's the beautiful part. The reverse is also true. If you begin, even just a little, feeding it something better, something softer, something stronger, your mind will start looking for proof of that too. You say, I'm capable, I'm healing, I'm learning every day. And your mind says, okay, let's look for evidence of that. And slowly but surely, your life starts to rise to match the level of the words you're speaking. This is why it's not silly to talk to yourself in the mirror. This is why affirmations are more than a trend. It's not just positive thinking. It's deliberate programming. It's taking back the pen and rewriting the story before someone else writes it for you. I've met so many people who walk through life carrying the weight of words they never chose, labels they never asked for. Someone once said they were lazy. Someone once said they weren't beautiful. Someone once laughed when they shared a dream, and now, years later, that moment still lives inside them, playing like a broken record. And my question is, why are we so quick to believe the worst things and so slow to believe the good? We say things to ourselves we'd never say to a friend. Think about that. If someone you loved was having a hard day, would you lean in and say, "Well, this is probably your fault. You're always screwing up"? Of course not. You'd offer grace. You'd remind them of who they are. You'd speak hope. So why don't we do that for ourselves? That's why I'm asking you to try this for 21 days. Not because it's a magic number. Not because everything changes overnight. But because if you give it just 21 days, 3 weeks of talking to yourself with kindness, with belief, with unwavering compassion, you'll begin to feel different. You'll begin to see yourself not as someone to fix or punish, but as someone worth fighting for. Every morning, I want you to stand still for just a moment. Don't rush to the to-do list. Don't grab your phone. Look yourself in the eyes and say something true and kind, even if it feels awkward, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Say it anyway. Say, "I'm proud of how far I've come." Say, "I'm worthy of love even when I'm not perfect." Say, "I have something to offer this world that no one else does." Do it before the day tells you otherwise. Do it before the world forgets to remind you. Do it because your voice, your inner voice, should be your greatest ally, not your harshest critic. Because when you change the way you talk to yourself, you change the way you show up in your life. You walk different, you decide different, you dream bigger, you stop shrinking, and suddenly you become the kind of person you used to only imagine. And it all starts not with a breakthrough, not with a perfect plan, but with one quiet, courageous decision to speak to yourself like someone you love. Every day, the moment you open your eyes, something starts speaking to you. And if you're not careful, if you're not intentional, that voice will not be truth. It will be fear. It will be doubt. It will be every insecure version of you trying to take the microphone before your stronger self even gets out of bed. You know that voice, the one that says, "This isn't going to work out. Why bother?" The one that whispers, "You're behind. You should have more by now. Be more by now. Do more by now." That voice never waits for permission. It shows up like it owns the room, and for most of us, we hand it the mic. Not because we believe it, but because we're used to it. It's been with us so long, we mistake it for our own voice. But hear me when I say this. That voice is not truth. That voice is not your wisdom. That voice is not your potential. That voice is your fear. And it knows all your soft spots. It knows exactly where to poke. It remembers the mistakes you've made. It clings to the moments you failed. And it uses them to convince you that what's ahead isn't worth trying for. But you have another voice inside you, one that's quieter, softer, but stronger. It's the voice of your truth, and truth doesn't shout. Truth doesn't panic. Truth doesn't try to scare you into hiding. Truth comes with peace. It comes with clarity. It comes with calm confidence. The problem is, most people go through their day reacting to the loudest voice, not the most honest one. And when fear speaks first, it builds the script for your entire day. That's why I believe in the power of intention in the morning. Not because it's a cute morning routine, but because it's survival. Before the emails, before the traffic, before the social media scroll starts telling you what you're missing, you have to be the one to speak first. You have to meet yourself in the silence and choose to lead with truth. And I mean real truth, not some forced positivity that ignores reality, but grounded, empowering truth. Like, I don't have to have it all figured out today to take one strong step. Or yesterday may have been hard, but today is a new opportunity. Or maybe just I am still here, and that matters. Because when you speak truth early, you give it a chance to anchor you. It becomes your center. So when fear tries to pull you into the past, or into comparison, or into overthinking, you have something to come back to. It's like building a muscle. The first few times you do it, it might feel strange. You might even laugh at yourself in the mirror, unsure if any of it matters. But I promise you, keep doing it. Keep speaking before fear does. Because fear doesn't stop, but with time it gets quieter. And the more often you speak your truth, the more your life starts to follow your words. Think about how many opportunities fear has talked you out of. How many moments you've waited on something to feel safe or perfect before moving, only to let the moment pass. And I get it, fear sounds convincing. It sounds logical. What if it goes wrong? It asks. What if you're not ready? And the most dangerous thing is, it often sounds like it's protecting you, but what it's really doing is paralyzing you. Truth, on the other hand, doesn't paralyze. Truth pushes you gently forward. Truth says, even if you fall, you'll rise. Even if you're scared, you're capable. Even if it's hard, it's still worth doing. And let me be clear, fear never fully goes away. Even the strongest people I know still hear it. The difference is, they don't let it drive the car. They hear it, acknowledge it, and then make their decision based on truth. That's what I want for you. I want you to start catching that moment, right when you wake up, when your mind starts speaking. And instead of letting fear walk in like it owns the place, I want you to beat it to the door. I want you to rise before it does and say, no, I will tell myself who I am today. Say it out loud if you have to. Whisper it if you must, but say it with intention. I am grounded, I am learning, I am growing, I am worthy, I am safe in myself. Not because you need to be perfect, but because you need to be present. You see, when you don't speak your truth, your silence becomes permission for fear to fill in the blanks. But when you speak it consistently, deliberately, you begin to create a new rhythm for your life. One where fear still shows up, but it no longer gets the final word. You do. There's something powerful about the number 21, not because it's magical, not because something instantly changes on day 22, but because it's enough time to witness the beginning of transformation. It's enough time to prove to yourself that a new way of being is possible, and that's what this is really about. Proving to yourself that you don't have to live on autopilot, that you don't have to keep repeating the same stories, the same habits, the same thoughts that have kept you stuck for years. We've all been there. You wake up, and before your feet hit the floor, your mind's already playing reruns. The same worries, the same insecurities, the same mental script, word for word. And it doesn't matter how much you want to change if you don't interrupt the pattern. Wanting isn't enough, wishing isn't enough. Change begins the moment you decide to do something different, consistently, and that's where these 21 days come in. Because for 3 weeks you are choosing a new way to speak, a new way to think, a new way to be. You're not waiting for life to shift before you do. You're shifting so that life has to respond. Every day you talk to yourself with kindness. Something happens beneath the surface. Something starts to open up in you. And it's quiet, subtle. It's not fireworks. It's not lightning bolts, but it's real. One morning you'll realize you're not speaking to yourself with the same harshness. You'll catch yourself before the old voice of doubt finishes its sentence. You'll start walking into rooms without apologizing for your presence, and all of that, that's not an accident. That's the result of showing up for yourself on purpose, day after day, because repetition creates belief. You may not believe it the first time you say, I am worthy. You may laugh when you first look in the mirror and say, I am powerful, I am capable, I love who I'm becoming. It might feel fake, it might feel silly. But say it again, say it the next day, say it when you don't believe it, say it when you do, just keep saying it, because eventually your brain stops resisting. Eventually, your nervous system stops bracing for rejection. Eventually, the words you once said as practice become words you say as truth. And when that happens, you don't just feel better, you become different. You begin to show up as someone who knows their worth. Someone who can say no without guilt. Someone who can pursue a dream without needing every step planned out. Someone who no longer feels the need to shrink, hide, or apologize for taking up space. All of that begins with the words you speak to yourself every single day. Now, I know life doesn't slow down to let you do this. I know some days you'll be tired. Some mornings you'll be running late. Some evenings you'll forget. That's okay. This isn't about perfection. This is about practice. And if you keep practicing imperfectly, consistently, you'll start to notice the shift. You'll notice the way you talk to yourself when something goes wrong. Instead of spiraling into what's wrong with me, you'll pause and say, that was hard, but I'm still growing. Instead of, I can't handle this, you'll say, I've been through worse, I've got this. These small moments of self-talk, they are not small at all. They are the rewiring, they are the breakthrough, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the deep, lasting kind. Because change doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like peace. Sometimes it feels like less self-hate. Sometimes it feels like walking past a mirror and not criticizing what you see. Sometimes it's just catching yourself halfway through a negative spiral and saying, no, not today. I'm not speaking to myself like that anymore. And that moment right there, that's growth, that's the work. That's the you that's been waiting to emerge, and you didn't get there by accident. You got there because you committed, you stayed with it. You said to yourself, this time I'm not going to quit on me. So yes, 21 days can rewire your mindset. Not because of some miracle, but because of your willingness to keep showing up, to choose different thoughts, to speak better words, to shift your internal world so your external world begins to respond. And that's the kind of change that lasts, because when your mindset changes, your choices change. And when your choices change, your life can't help but change with it. There is a powerful truth that many of us struggle to fully internalize, especially when things aren't going the way we want. And that truth is this: you are not defined by your circumstances. I know this because I've seen it time and time again in my own life and in the lives of countless others who refuse to let their situation become their identity. Your circumstances might shape you, but they do not define you. Too often, we make the mistake of equating who we are with where we are in life. We allow our failures, our setbacks, and the disappointments to speak louder than our potential. We look at the messy, imperfect version of our life and think, this is who I am the sum of my mistakes. I am the product of my past. But that is not the truth. That is only one chapter of your story, and it doesn't have to be the final one. Think about this. You are constantly evolving. You are always becoming more than you were yesterday. You are not stuck in the past unless you choose to be. And the way you speak to yourself, those words that run through your mind every day, are the ones that determine who you'll become. If you see yourself as someone limited by their circumstances, that's how you'll show up in the world. But if you start seeing yourself as someone capable of transformation, someone who can rise above their current situation, you will begin to move forward. And that's the key. You have to choose to believe that you are more than where you are right now. Take a moment and look back at all the things you've overcome in your life, the difficult decisions, the heartaches, the times you thought you wouldn't make it through. And yet, here you are. You're still standing, you're still moving, and you're still learning. That's not weakness. That's strength. That's resilience. That's your inner power, and it doesn't need permission to exist. It's always been there. I think a lot of us hold on tightly to the labels we've been given. Labels from other people. Labels from our own mind. I'm not good enough. I'm too old, too young, too broken. But what if those labels aren't yours to wear? What if you've been carrying someone else's opinion of you this whole time? What if the only thing that's been standing in your way is the belief that you're defined by your circumstances? When we choose to see ourselves as defined by our circumstances, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We live as if our current situation is the limit of our lives, but it's not. It's just where we are right now. It doesn't have to dictate where we go. It doesn't have to determine who we become. Every day, we have the opportunity to rewrite that story, to step into the next version of ourselves. Think about the greatest moments of growth you've had. Were they always easy? Probably not. They likely came at times when you had to face adversity head on, when you had to make a choice to push past the fear, the doubt, and the obstacles in front of you. And those moments where you chose to rise, are the moments that define who you really are. But you can't step into that growth if you're holding onto a past version of yourself that no longer serves you. If you keep telling yourself, I'm just not good enough, or I'll never get this right, or I've failed too many times, that's exactly what you'll get more of. Not because it's some cosmic law, but because you're letting those thoughts dictate your actions. When you believe you are more than your circumstances, you begin to step into your power and take action that aligns with who you are becoming. It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of asking, why am I stuck? Why am I failing? Ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? What can I learn from this experience? When you change the way you view challenges, they stop being obstacles and start becoming stepping stones to something greater. And that's where true growth happens. When you stop defining yourself by the setbacks, the roadblocks, and the hard times, and start defining yourself by the strength, the lessons, and the courage you've gained. Let me tell you this, you are a masterpiece in progress. You are not a finished product. The challenges you've faced, the struggles you've endured, they don't diminish your worth. They sharpen you, they prepare you for something greater. But if you keep tying your self-worth to the struggles, to the failures, to the moments where you've felt less than, you'll miss the opportunity to step into the beauty that's waiting for you. It's time to let go of the idea that your circumstances define who you are. The setbacks you've experienced, the mistakes you've made, they are not the sum of your existence. You are more than what you've been through. You are more than the labels, more than the fears, more than the doubts. You are a living, breathing work of art, still in progress, still evolving. So I want you to remember this every time life gets hard, every time you feel like giving up. You are not defined by where you are right now. You are defined by who you are choosing to become. Your future is not determined by the circumstances of your past. It's determined by the way you decide to show up today. And no matter where you are, you have the power to create a different future. One that reflects your true potential. One that reflects the limitless, beautiful person you are. There comes a time in every single one of our lives when we're faced with a choice. Do we continue to carry the weight of everyone else's opinions, expectations, and fears? Or do we finally let go and embrace the freedom that comes with no longer caring about things that don't serve us? It's not an easy choice to make. We've been conditioned, taught, and often pressured to be a certain way, to meet certain standards, to live up to a set of rules that were never ours in the first place. And somewhere along the way we lose sight of what truly matters to us. But here's the truth, friends, life is too short, your time is too valuable, your energy is too precious, and your spirit is far too powerful to waste it on things that don't contribute to your growth, your joy, your peace. So it's time to stop giving a damn about the things that drain you, about the people who pull you down, and about the expectations that weigh heavy on your heart. You owe it to yourself to release the grip of those burdens and make room for the things that light you up. The first principle, protect your peace. Peace isn't just about quiet moments or relaxing retreats. It's a state of mind, a commitment to preserving your well-being, no matter what life throws your way. If something or someone disrupts that peace, let it go. Life is about choosing what adds value to your soul and removing the things that don't. The second principle, own your truth. Don't apologize for who you are. Don't shrink for anyone. Stand firm in your authenticity, even when others can't understand it. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone who isn't willing to see your worth. The third principle, embrace your freedom. Giving up the need for approval, validation, and the constant pursuit of perfection is the greatest gift you can give yourself. The weight of seeking approval only keeps you chained to expectations that are not yours. Break free, live on your own terms, and finally trust your journey. There's a path designed just for you, and it's unfolding every day, step by step. It doesn't matter if others can't see it yet. It doesn't matter if the world tries to tell you what you should be. Trust that your path is uniquely yours to walk, and it's okay if others don't understand it. So today, I encourage you to take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that no longer serves me? What am I giving my energy to that I just don't need to care about anymore? Release it. Let it go, and step into the most powerful version of yourself. The version that refuses to give a damn about anything that isn't in alignment with who you are and where you're going. Remember, you are enough. You are worthy, and you deserve every ounce of freedom and joy that this life has to offer. Now, let's live it. There's a moment in life when you stop and realize your peace is not just important. It's everything. It is not a luxury. It's not a nice to have. Peace is survival. Peace is clarity. Peace is power, and the older you get, the more you realize not everything, and not everyone, deserves a seat at the table of your mental and emotional well-being. We are raised to be polite, to endure, to tolerate. We are taught to smile when we want to cry, to say yes when everything in our soul is screaming no. We are told that strength looks like staying quiet, like being agreeable, like keeping the peace. But what they never tell you is that in keeping the external peace, we often destroy the internal one, and that cost is too high. I'm here to tell you that your peace is sacred. It's the still, quiet voice inside you that says, "This doesn't feel right." And you don't need to explain why it doesn't feel right. You don't need to justify your discomfort. You don't need a 5-paragraph essay to walk away from what drains you. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to shut the door. You are allowed to protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Peace is walking into your home and not having your spirit tighten at the sound of someone's footsteps. Peace is waking up in the morning and not already feeling exhausted from battles you never chose to fight. Peace is learning to say, "I love you, but I can't carry your pain for you anymore." Peace is deleting the message you know will reopen a wound. Peace is turning down the invite. Peace is not going to every argument you're invited to. Because not everything requires your attention. Not every storm needs your presence. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. There will be people who call you selfish for choosing yourself. There will be voices, internal and external, that say you've changed, that you're colder now, more distant. That's okay. Let them talk. Let them question. Let them misunderstand. Because peace isn't about being understood by everyone. It's about being understood by you. It's about knowing that the most valuable currency you have in this life is not money, not popularity, not approval, but energy. And how you spend that energy will define the quality of your life. You don't have to respond to every call. You don't have to attend every family function. You don't have to pick up the phone every time chaos rings. You are allowed to draw a line. You are allowed to be unavailable. You are allowed to choose rest over hustle, silence over noise, solitude over drama. And when you do, the world doesn't fall apart, but the right things start to fall into place. When you protect your peace, you begin to heal. You begin to breathe differently. You start attracting people who respect your boundaries, not resent them. You stop living on edge and you begin living on purpose. You feel lighter, freer. You stop reacting and you start responding. With wisdom, with clarity, with presence. And let's be clear, protecting your peace doesn't mean cutting everyone off or living in a bubble. It means creating an inner environment that is so stable, so rooted, that even when the storm comes, and it will, you remain grounded. It means choosing your battles. It means knowing the difference between a challenge that grows you and a situation that depletes you. It means trusting yourself enough to walk away from the things you once begged for, when you realize they no longer fit the person you are becoming. You have to ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is this keeping me stuck? Is this person a blessing or a burden? Is this conversation nourishing my soul or draining it dry? And when you get quiet enough, when you truly listen, your spirit will give you the answer every time. Don't ignore it, don't second, guess it, trust it. You deserve peace that doesn't come with conditions, peace that doesn't need to be earned, peace that doesn't crumble the moment someone disapproves of your choices. And here's the thing, when you start protecting your peace, you start living your truth, you stop performing, you stop pretending, you stop playing roles that don't belong to you, you become real, you become whole. And once you taste that kind of peace, the real kind, the soul, deep kind, you'll never settle for chaos again. Let me tell you something that took me years to learn. You cannot live a free, full, authentic life if you're afraid to own your truth. There's a version of you, the real you, that exists underneath the layers of expectation, fear, and social masks. The one that shows up when nobody's watching. The one that thinks deeply, feels fully, dreams wildly. That version, that's the one the world really needs. But too many of us have spent our lives hiding that person, dimming that light, shrinking that presence to make other people comfortable. We were taught, often without words, that it's better to blend in than to stand out. That it's safer to stay quiet than to speak your truth. That approval is more important than authenticity. So we learn to become what people want. We become adaptable. We become likable. And little by little, we forget what we even like, what we even believe, who we even are. But you can't live like that forever, not without losing yourself. There comes a moment when you feel a deep, undeniable ache, a pull from inside your soul that says, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending. I can't keep living according to someone else's script. And that moment, as uncomfortable as it is sacred. It's the beginning of truth, of power, of freedom. Owning your truth means standing in who you are, without apology, without explanation, and without shame. It means looking in the mirror and finally saying, "This is me. Take it or leave it." Not because you're arrogant, but because you're tired of performing, because you're ready to be real. It means being honest about what you want, about what you feel, about what you believe, even when it's unpopular, even when it's misunderstood. It means saying no when you mean no, and yes only when it feels true. It means no longer nodding along with conversations that go against your values just to keep the peace. It means no longer staying silent when your spirit is begging you to speak. You see, truth isn't always pretty, it isn't always polished, but it's pure, and there is nothing more powerful than a person who walks through this world fully aligned with who they are, flaws, edges, brilliance, and all. Owning your truth may cost you things. It may cost you approval. It may cost you relationships. It may cost you the illusion of comfort you once found in fitting in. But what you gain is worth so much more. You gain clarity, you gain respect, you gain inner peace, and most importantly, you gain yourself. And once you truly know yourself, once you claim your voice, your story, your essence, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop wasting energy on being someone you're not. People will say you've changed, and you have, you've evolved, you've shed old skins, you've outgrown masks that were never made for your face. You've stopped asking for permission to take up space, and now you're choosing to live loud, love deep, and speak with fire in your chest because your truth matters. And don't get me wrong, it takes courage. It takes daily commitment, because there will always be pressure to conform. There will always be people who try to put you in a box that makes them comfortable. But boxes were not made for souls like yours. And comfort is not worth the cost of your authenticity. Here's the truth. Not everyone will like the real you, but the ones who do, they'll love you deeply, they'll connect with you honestly, they'll stand with you boldly. Because when you show up in your truth, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror that says, you don't have to pretend either. You can be real here. That's the kind of presence that changes lives. Not the person who fits in, but the one who stands out with grace, with fire, with truth. So speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Live your truth. Even if the world doesn't understand it, honor your truth, even if it means walking alone for a while, because nothing is more exhausting than betraying yourself for the sake of being liked. You weren't born to be a watered-down version of someone else's idea of enough. You were born to be whole, real, fully expressed. And when you finally decide to own your truth, you don't just set yourself free. You light a path for others to do the same. Let me say this clearly. Your freedom is not up for negotiation. It's not something anyone else can give you, and it's sure as hell not something they can take away unless you allow them to. The moment you stop living for other people, the moment you stop needing permission to be who you are, that's the moment you taste real freedom. And once you do, you'll never want to go back. You were not born to be a puppet pulled by strings of guilt, shame, tradition, or expectation. You were born to be free, to think for yourself, to feel what you feel, to move how your spirit moves. But somewhere along the line, we traded that freedom for approval. We gave up our fire for the comfort of fitting in. We silenced our instincts so we could be nice. We edited ourselves, filtered our thoughts, toned ourselves down to be more acceptable. And in doing that, we locked ourselves in invisible cages. Some of those cages are built from fear, fear of judgment, fear of abandonment, fear of failure, fear of disappointing the people who raised us, taught us, loved us. We convince ourselves we're doing the right thing by keeping the peace, staying in line, checking the boxes. But what's right for everyone else isn't always right for you. And if you keep living your life according to someone else's script, you'll wake up one day wondering where your life even went. Let me be clear. Embracing your freedom does not mean living recklessly. It means living intentionally. It means reclaiming the authority over your own decisions. It means no longer outsourcing your power to opinions, trends, or outdated narratives. It means saying, "This is my life, and I will no longer apologize for the way I choose to live it." And yes, it's scary. Freedom always is. Because when you choose freedom, you can't blame anyone else for your choices anymore. You can't hide behind "I had to." You step fully into responsibility, but that's also where your power lies. When you know that you are the one steering the ship, you realize you can change direction at any time. You're not stuck. You're not trapped. You're not broken. You are free. Arise to pivot, to grow, to begin again. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that keeps you small so they can feel big. You don't owe the world a performance. You don't owe your past a future that doesn't fit you anymore. You owe yourself the chance to breathe fully, speak boldly, live honestly. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be loved. We all want that. But love that costs your freedom is not love. It's control dressed in affection. Real love celebrates your freedom. It doesn't punish it. And if your light makes someone uncomfortable, let them adjust their eyes or walk away. You don't exist to make everyone else comfortable. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to walk away from things that once defined you. You are allowed to want more, want different, want better. You are allowed to live in a way that feels good to your soul, even if no one else understands it. Freedom is not just about the big, loud choices. It's about the quiet, everyday decisions that say, "I matter. My peace matters. My time matters. My joy matters." It's about choosing presence over pressure, flow over force, truth over performance, and don't let anyone tell you that freedom makes you selfish. That's what people say when they're used to benefiting from your self-abandonment. But choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's sacred. You cannot pour into anyone else's cup if yours is always empty. You cannot serve the world from a place of resentment and depletion. When you are free, you are full, and from fullness comes generosity, wisdom, clarity, and purpose. You weren't meant to be manageable. You weren't meant to be easily defined. You were meant to take up space, to expand, to explore the edges of your own becoming. The world will try to put you in a box: daughter, son, partner, employee, friend, this kind of person, that kind of person. But you are not a box. You are a universe, and your freedom is the key to unlocking the galaxies inside you. So start asking different questions. Not what do they want from me, but what do I want for me? Not how do I fit in, but where do I belong? Not what if they don't approve, but what if I never give myself the chance to be who I really am? There is a life waiting for you on the other side of fear. A life that is bigger, deeper, and more beautiful than anything you're clinging to out of habit or guilt. That life begins the moment you decide to stop playing small and start living free. Sometimes life will break you just to rebuild you. It will strip away everything you thought you needed so you can finally see what's real. It will disappoint you, delay you, even devastate you, not to destroy you, but to develop you. And in those moments, the only thing you can do is surrender, breathe, keep moving, and most of all, trust your journey. You don't have to understand it all right now. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know what's coming next. Trust isn't about certainty. It's about belief. It's about faith that where you are right now is not the end of your story. It's just a page, a chapter, a moment in the becoming. We live in a world obsessed with speed and success. Everyone's in a rush to get somewhere, to be someone, to achieve everything overnight. But real transformation doesn't happen fast. Real growth isn't glamorous. Healing is not a highlight reel. Purpose doesn't show up with a GPS and a perfect timeline. Sometimes the path is winding. Sometimes it's dark. Sometimes you don't even realize how far you've come until you look back. But even then, you were never lost. You were learning. You were being shaped. You were being prepared for something you couldn't see yet. There's no shame in the struggle. There's no weakness in the wait. Those quiet seasons, those heavy nights, those lonely mornings, they are not punishments. They are preparation. They are the moments when your roots grow deeper, even when nothing looks like it's changing on the surface. You are growing, becoming, rising in silence, and yes, it's hard. It's hard when the people around you are moving ahead and you feel like you're stuck. It's hard when doors keep closing and you wonder if any of them were meant for you at all. It's hard when you give your heart to something and it doesn't work out. But just because it didn't work out the way you wanted doesn't mean it didn't work out for your good. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not broken. You are exactly where you need to be to receive the lesson, the blessing, the strength, the clarity. You are on time for your own life, not their life, not society's timeline, yours. And sometimes trusting the journey means trusting yourself, trusting that your intuition is valid, trusting that your pain has purpose, trusting that the detour is the direction, that what felt like rejection was actually protection. That what you lost wasn't meant to last, and what's meant for you will always find you, without begging, without chasing, without pretending to be someone you're not. When you start trusting the journey, you start showing up differently. You stop forcing things. You stop begging for love, attention, validation. You stop compromising your peace for things that don't feed your soul. You begin to understand that everything you're going through is not happening to you. It's happening for you. Because every heartbreak taught you how to protect your heart better. Every setback taught you how to come back stronger. Every closed door showed you how to build your own. And every time you were brought to your knees, you learned how to rise again with more grace, more grit, more fire. You don't need the whole map. You just need the next step. Take it, even if your knees shake, even if your voice trembles, even if you're not sure what comes after. Just take the step, and then another. And then another. That's how trust works. That's how transformation happens. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel ready, but keep going. There's power in persistence. There's wisdom in waiting. There's healing in holding on just a little longer. And remember, your journey is yours. Stop comparing it to someone else's. Stop measuring your path against someone else's progress. You don't know what they had to lose to get what they have. You don't know what battles they're still fighting behind the scenes, and they don't know yours either. So give yourself grace. Let your story unfold at its own pace. Some days you'll sprint. Some days you'll crawl. Some days all you'll manage is breathing. And that's okay. That's still progress. That's still movement. That's still rising. This journey will not always make sense. But if you stay with it, if you stay open, if you keep showing up, you will get to a place where you look around and say, so this is why it all happened the way it did. That clarity will come. That peace will arrive. That full circle moment will knock on your door. But until then, trust. Trust that you are growing into someone stronger than you ever imagined. Trust that the universe hasn't forgotten about you. Trust that even when it's hard, even when it's heavy, even when it hurts, you are still being led, still being loved, still becoming everything you're meant to be. Trust your journey.
Raise your kids to be more. You are betrayed by your family. There's a certain kind of pain that comes from those we love the most. The ones we trust, the ones we expect to be there for us no matter what, can sometimes be the ones who wound us the deepest. And when that betrayal comes from family, it feels like the ground beneath you has shifted, like everything you once believed in has been turned upside down. We all have dreams of what family is supposed to be. We picture them as our pillars of support, our safe haven when the world feels too heavy. But sometimes those we hold closest can let us down. Sometimes they are the ones who hurt us, not just emotionally, but in ways that make us question everything we thought we knew about loyalty, love, and trust. It's easy to feel lost when you've been betrayed by your family. You may find yourself questioning your worth, wondering what went wrong, or even blaming yourself. But let me remind you of something important. Betrayal says nothing about your value. It says everything about the person who betrayed you. What betrayal from family forces us to do is a difficult, painful process. Relearning how to stand on our own, how to trust again, and how to protect our hearts from those who might take advantage of our love. It's a process of growth. And while it may not be easy, it can be incredibly freeing. You are not defined by the betrayal. You are defined by your strength in the face of it. You are defined by your ability to rise, to heal, and to rebuild. This moment, this heartbreak, does not get to dictate the rest of your life. You get to choose what happens next. It's important to remember that family doesn't always mean blood. Family is who lifts you up, who supports you, who believes in you when you can't believe in yourself. There's a whole world of people out there who will cherish you, who will respect you, and who will show you the love and loyalty you deserve. Never forget that you are worthy of that kind of love. So yes, the pain of betrayal from family can feel like a weight you can't shake off, but it will not last forever. You have within you the ability to heal, to forgive, not for them, but for yourself. You can walk away from the betrayal stronger, more self-assured, and with a renewed sense of purpose. Remember, your worth is not tied to the people who failed you. It is tied to the strength, resilience, and grace that you carry within. The future is yours to create. Don't let the shadows of the past steal that from you. How does that feel? There's a unique kind of pain that comes when the people you never thought would hurt you become the source of your deepest wounds. We grow up believing that family is forever, that no matter how hard the world gets, there will always be a place at the table for us, arms waiting to comfort us, voices ready to defend us. That's what we're taught, through stories, through traditions, through society, that family is our shelter, our safety net, our unshakable foundation. So when betrayal comes from the very people we trusted with our hearts, it feels like a kind of emotional earthquake. The ground beneath us shifts. What was once solid, dependable, and sacred suddenly becomes unfamiliar and unstable. This isn't just about someone telling a lie or breaking a promise. This is about feeling abandoned in the very place you thought was home. It's about the cold silence that replaces what used to be love. It's about the words spoken behind your back by the people you would have defended without hesitation. It's about feeling invisible, unheard, or unimportant in the eyes of those who were supposed to protect you. And the worst part? It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes family betrayal creeps in quietly. through judgment, through manipulation, through comparison, through favoritism. It might come in the form of being left out, overlooked, or never really seen for who you are. The pain runs deep because the stakes are higher. You didn't just lose a friend or a partner. You lost a piece of your identity. Family is supposed to be part of how we understand ourselves, our roots, our origin story. So when that connection becomes toxic or broken, it can feel like you're being ripped from the inside out. The betrayal leaves you with unanswered questions. How could they do this to me? Did I ever matter to them? Was it all just a lie? And even when your mind tries to rationalize, your heart just aches. It's grief, not always for someone who died, but for the relationship you thought you had, for the love you thought was unconditional, for the person you once believed would always be in your corner. And yet, so often, when we're betrayed by family, we're expected to stay silent. Society teaches us that family is everything, that we should forgive and forget because they're blood. But here's the truth. Betrayal hurts, no matter who it comes from. And sometimes the hurt is magnified because of the history, the expectations, the years you spent pouring love into people who couldn't hold it. You're not weak for feeling broken. You're not wrong for needing space. You're not ungrateful for drawing boundaries with the people who share your last name. You are human. And betrayal by family is a trauma that deserves to be acknowledged, not minimized. There are people walking around every day with smiles on their faces and invisible bruises on their hearts because they've been betrayed by those who should have loved them best. They carry the weight of pretending things are fine during holidays, of sitting across the table from someone who shattered their trust, of hearing other people say, "But they're your family," as if that erases the pain. That kind of betrayal teaches you how to shrink yourself. It teaches you how to doubt your instincts. It teaches you how to keep your hurt quiet, because speaking it out loud feels like a betrayal of its own. But even in that pain, there's a strange kind of clarity. You start to see people for who they really are, not just who you hoped they would be. You begin to understand that love should never come with conditions or manipulation. You realize that sometimes the people closest to you are not the safest ones. And that's a heartbreaking but necessary truth. And though the hurt may linger, it doesn't have to define you. Your story doesn't end with betrayal. It begins with the moment you recognize that your pain is valid, that your feelings matter, and that healing is possible, even if the apology never comes. So if you've been betrayed by your family, know that you are not alone. That heartbreak is real. That confusion is real. That sorrow is real. But so is your strength. And while the betrayal may have shaken your world, it didn't destroy your spirit. You are still standing. Maybe not as whole as you once were, but perhaps more honest, more awake, more aware of what love should and shouldn't feel like. When someone you love betrays you, especially someone from your own family, your first instinct might be to turn inward, to ask yourself, what did I do wrong? You start to replay conversations in your mind, dissect your actions, question your choices. You wonder if somehow, some way you could have been better, quieter, more obedient, more loving, more something. It's human nature to try to make sense of pain. And too often we do that by placing the blame on ourselves. We think if I had done things differently, maybe they wouldn't have treated me this way. But here is the truth that many struggle to hold on to. Betrayal does not define your worth. Someone else's inability to love you right, to show up for you, to protect your trust, that is a reflection of them, not you. It speaks to their character, not your value. The way they treated you was never a measure of how lovable or that betrayal, no matter how personal it felt, was never truly about you. It was about their wounds, their ego, their need for control, their fear, their inability to see clearly what was in front of them. Someone who deserved to be treated with respect, dignity, and kindness. When you're betrayed by family, it often cuts even deeper because the bond feels sacred. It's not just about being hurt, it's about being devalued by someone who is supposed to know your heart. And when that happens, you can start to believe their version of you. You start to internalize the rejection. You start to believe that maybe you weren't enough, that maybe you're too difficult, too emotional, too much of a burden. And so that's the lie betrayal wants you to believe. It thrives in your self-doubt. It wants to shrink you into silence, to convince you that you somehow deserved the pain. But you didn't. You never did. You are not defined by someone else's failure to love you. You are not defined by how someone treated you when they were at their worst. You are not defined by the silence, the manipulation, the cruelty, or the abandonment. You are defined by your heart, your intentions, your resilience. You are defined by the fact that even after all of it, you are still capable of love, of empathy, of showing up for others, even when others didn't show up for you. What happens far too often is that we let betrayal shape our identity. We wear it like a secret shame. We try to hide the parts of us that got hurt, thinking that if we toughen up or pretend it didn't matter, it won't hurt as much. But ignoring the pain doesn't erase it. The only way to truly heal is to confront it, to look at the betrayal and say, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. But no, it does not get to decide who I am. And part of that healing journey is learning to reclaim your self-worth, to see yourself through your own eyes, not the eyes of someone who couldn't see your light. That means giving yourself permission to feel the pain, to cry over the loss, but also to stand in front of the mirror and remind yourself that you are still whole. Maybe wounded, maybe changed, but still whole, still worthy, still enough. You are worthy of love that is consistent, of relationships that make you feel safe, not small, of words that build you up, not tear you down. You are worthy of being heard, of being seen, of being respected, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. That worth doesn't disappear just because someone close to you failed to recognize it. It doesn't shrink when someone treats you like you're invisible. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It is not conditional. It is not based on your family's approval, their praise, or their attention. And maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they never will. But that's not your burden to carry. That's not your story to fix. You don't need to convince anyone to love you properly. You don't need to perform for affection or beg for kindness. You don't need to keep proving yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your worth is not on trial. It never was. Let this be your reminder. You are not broken. You are not unlovable. You are not too much. You are not the problem just because someone couldn't treat you right. You are enough. Not someday, not if you change, not if they come back and apologize. You are enough right now, exactly as you are. And the fact that you've endured betrayal and still choose to rise, that makes you even more powerful than you know. We're taught from an early age that family is everything, that blood is thicker than water, that no matter what happens, the people we're related to will always have our back. We grow up with this deep-rooted belief that family is sacred, unbreakable, and unconditional. But for many people, that ideal doesn't match the reality. And that disconnect, that painful gap between what we were promised and what we actually experience, is where so much of the heartbreak lives. Because the truth is, not all family is created equal. Just because someone shares your DNA doesn't mean they share your values. Just because you share a last name doesn't mean you share love, respect, or loyalty. The title of family is not a free pass to mistreat, manipulate, or dismiss you. And yet so many of us hold on to toxic relationships out of guilt, fear, or tradition, believing that walking away means we're disloyal or cold. But let me tell you something with absolute clarity. You are allowed to let go of people who hurt you, even if they're family, especially if they're family. There are people who will gaslight you, control you, belittle you, all while calling it love. They'll say, "I'm just being honest," or "You know how I am," as if that excuses the damage. They'll hurt you and then expect you to keep showing up like nothing ever happened. They'll remind you of everything they've done for you, not because they gave with love, but because they want to own a piece of your freedom. That is not family. That is bondage dressed up as duty. Your family, true soul-level family, is about presence, not pressure. It's about people who see you, who hear you, who make space for your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about people who respect your boundaries, who root for your healing, and who walk with you, not ahead of you, not above you, but with you. And sometimes those people are not the ones you were born to. Sometimes they're the ones you meet along the way, the ones who step into your life and offer you the kind of love you always wished you had. There is nothing shameful about building a chosen family. In fact, it's one of the bravest, most liberating things you can do. When you start to redefine what family means on your own terms, you begin to take your power back. You no longer settle for scraps of affection. You no longer cling to people just because of history. You start to surround yourself with energy that feels like home. Not a house you were raised in, but a feeling you get when someone sees the real you and stays anyway. Some of the most meaningful relationships you will ever have might come from outside your bloodline. A friend who checks in on you when you're falling apart. A mentor who believes in you when you've stopped believing in yourself. A partner who chooses you every single day. A co-worker who becomes your confidant. These people, the ones who love without obligation, are proof that family is not always about where you come from. Sometimes it's about where you're going and who's willing to walk with you through it. And when you start to realize that you are allowed to choose peace over proximity, healing over history, love over loyalty to pain, you stop feeling guilty for stepping away. You stop explaining your decisions to people who were never really listening anyway. You stop mourning the idea of what family should have been, and you start embracing what family can be. The people who truly love you will never make you feel small for standing in your truth. They won't punish you for needing space. They won't weaponize the past to control your future. They'll respect your growth, even if it means growing apart. That is love. That is respect. That is family. So if you've ever looked around the dinner table and felt like a stranger in your own home, know that you are not alone. If you've ever kept your voice quiet to keep the peace, if you've ever stayed where you were hurting because it's just easier that way, let this be your permission to release that weight. You are allowed to rewrite the meaning of family. You are allowed to seek out relationships that nurture your soul instead of draining it. You are allowed to walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity. There is no rule that says your loyalty must come at the cost of your mental health. There is no honor in sacrificing your peace just to keep a title intact. Your heart, your energy, your life, they are sacred. And the people who deserve to be called family are the ones who honor that sacredness with gentleness, with honesty, and with love. That feels like freedom, not fear.